Okay, well, I finally got back here and I got this board off, which covered the wall. I did have to prime the raw water pump because this boat's lifted out of the water every time, and those pumps that we use are submersible pumps and they're not self-priming. So you need to keep that pump below the waterline of the boat so it'll prime itself. Unfortunately, this is a pulled out boat, and even with that factor, the pump is higher than the water line. So you're going to constantly run into problems with priming the raw water system, and you have to have water circulating through this because, let me show you the unit. You can see we're behind the cavity wall here, and this is our air conditioning unit. And he said that somebody, and he didn't tell me who, said it was low on Freon. And of course I asked him if he was experiencing any codes on his thermostat because it recognizes Freon loss. So once I got back here, I'm kind of working off the pretext that we're low on refrigerant. We got a leak, we need to find the leak, we need to seal it and get them up and running. But you can see on that cap right there, it's got that red coating on it, and this, so red hose, blue hose, so you got a red cap and a blue cap. Well, this is shrink wrap. That's shrink wrap around. You can see that red in front of my hose there. That's shrink wrap. And you actually have to cut that off to get the cap off. This one's still leaking. You actually have to cut the shrink wrap off to get the cap off. And you can see here's a cap. Here, I'll set it next to the one. You can see on that brass one, that's the low side line. I actually cut it off. So nobody's actually hooked up gauges to this, because if they hooked up gauges, they would have had to cut that shrink wrap. So I don't know where he got his where he got his information, and you can see the pressures we're running right now is 72 over 227 degrees. Then the numbers directly below them are a calculation by the digital refrigerant analysis gauge. It's got a 42 degree evaporator coil and a 110 degree water loop coil, or condensing temperature. So right now the pressures look absolutely perfect. I don't have a problem with it. The gas is metering right. You can see those bars going up and down. It's pulling down as it gets cooler on the boat, and it, you know, because the air conditioning is just removing, let me crawl out of here, but it's removing heat. Yeah, I know you feel cold air coming out of your grill, and I don't care if this is at your work, your house, your boat. All air conditionings are exactly the same. Just because I'm using water to take the place of a fan motor, it's still the same theory. So all air conditionings are big sponges, meaning they have the Freon has the ability to absorb heat. So what we do is we pull that hot air across the aluminum coil with copper tubing in it that the Freon flows through. And when that hot air passes by that copper tubing, that Freon has the ability to absorb the heat out of the air. And it sits there and it absorbs the heat, then it sends it to the water loop, and the Freon runs through the water loop next to the water. And the water absorbs the heat out of the Freon and dissipates water overboard, thus giving our heat exchange, removing heat from the boat. And with that said, that's how we get our pressures, and it's all relative to cabin temperature, type of unit, water temperature. This is basically geothermo, because we're using water to do our condensing for us. And you can see that's a nice stream. He doesn't have any problem with flow, and you can see in his engine cavity, I'll try to, there's a red pump with a white hose, and I had to prime that by opening the sea strainer and the water come bellowing out the top, and then I actually had to take the hose off the pump itself and let water, the pump wasn't activated, to let water trickle out of there to get water in the head so it will prime itself. So I'm going to go ahead and call this boat owner and kind of talk to him about his experience with the air conditioner, maybe question him on what technician said it was low on refrigerant, and then we'll go from there. So if he needs a device plumbed in to make it easier for him to prime his raw water pump, well, I can do that. That's not a problem. And we can do it either remote control, or you physically open a gate valve and close a gate valve. So I told you I'd come back to it if it was an unusual problem. And that's not really an unusual problem. I just wanted to talk to you about air conditioning in general, and not always believing what technicians say unless they're qualified for their job. Alright, so this is Bosserman Marine Services. I think I'll have a happy customer, because it doesn't look like he's going to go through an expensive repair to fix a refrigerant leak on his air conditioning system. We just got to figure out a way to prime his pump and make it easier for him and make life a lot easier for him. Alright, so this is Bosserman Marine Services. Thanks for watching. Our phone number here is 727-521-1385. I look forward to your phone call. Thanks.